as a product owner, right, may I know, what exactly you do in that job, compared to business analyst role. This will help our aspiring product owners and any other who are watching or listening to this podcast. How they can prepare themselves for this particular role, because there are many PO aspiring POs out there, and they want to
Mm,
move in that line, uh, like you have been doing.
mm, mm, mm. So I think being a PO, or you talk about PM, or you talk about BA, I think the very important factor to note here is none of your day will be same, right? You don't know
Mm,
what will the other day brings. That's
mm,
a very dynamic nature of this role, and that is something which I really like about this role, to be honest.
mm,
Uh, so what you do on a daily basis also depends on what which phase you are in your project, right? So let's say if you are in a phase where you are still taking requirements from the market, and you are grooming it. So in that phase, even if I take my example, there will be a lot of discussions on a day-to-day basis that will be happening with your product manager or your product team, basically, where you see those features. You try to understand the requirements from the market, because at the end of the day you have to groom those requirements with the engineers in their language, which is very important.
yeah.
So in that phase, a lot of my time goes with these kind of discussions with my product team, right? Um, uh, if you are in an agile environment, Scrum ceremonies is like something which happens on a weekly and a day-to-day basis. So that's an added, meetings that you have in your schedule. Um, Apart from this, in that grooming phase, you have a lot of time in your day where you'll be sitting with MS Word or Confluence, where you will be documenting a lot of documents, requirement documents, PRD, and then you'll be preparing documents related to some edge cases of your features. So a lot of documentation happens that time, right? You'll be creating a lot of tickets on Jira for your developers to refer. So that is the phase when you are grooming. Now, when you have actually groomed your feature, maybe it happens that you are not having a lot of meetings on a day-to-day basis, because engineers, I feel they are not very, they are not the persons who are very fond of meetings. They want to do their work on their in their isolation environment. So when the feature is already groomed, they'll be working there, where you'll be maybe having discussions with markets about what's coming next, or maybe you'll be working a lot into your documentation, your work, what you have to prepare going further. So that phase will be a little lighter, where you will be not having a lot of meetings. um, there is one more aspect of being a product owner, which is ad hoc discussions when you have a huge team. So when you have a huge team, you will be definitely having a lot of cross-functional requirements, cross-functional dependencies that you have to cater to. And for those requirements, for those dependency, a lot of discussions happen. So at the end of the day, where I'm going is, as a BO, a PO, as a PM, whatever the role is, as a BA, I would say 60% or 50% of your time on a day-to-day basis might go on a lot of discussions, meetings, calls, ad hoc calls. A lot of time goes there. The
Hmm.
remaining time which you have, that 50% or 40% of your time, is something which you have to acquire, because there will be a lot of things that you have to do, on your own, wherein I mentioned the documentation, wherein I mentioned maybe preparing a lot of documents going ahead. You will be doing testing. You have to maybe look at the testing, test cases. Uh, a lot of other documents are there. So those preparation also you have to do on your own. So that 40% or 50% of the time you have to take out, and you have to do your work, because that is also an important part of your role. So it's very dynamic. You don't know how your day goes, but
Hmm.
a very basic skeleton of this role is something like this. Like 50-50% you can divide your day into meetings, discussions, and everything, and then the 50% or the 40% is your time that you can do on something on your own. Yeah.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that's how it goes. Yeah.